The promise. The skies above Earth changed the day the ships arrived. They didn't come like invaders. No planetary bombardments. No sudden flashes of annihilation. They came quietly, tens of thousands of kilometers up, silver hulls glinting against the black. Cities paused. Nations froze. Every telescope turned upward as the world realized it wasn't alone anymore. For 3 days, the ships only hovered. Broadcasts across the electromagnetic spectrum carried repeating messages in tones neither human nor machine could replicate. Then, finally, one voice translated into every language. We are the Seraphis Union. We come in peace. Humanity will not be harmed. Humanity will be defended. The words echoed across radios, televisions, phones, minds. The leaders of Earth scrambled. A dozen governments tried to establish contact. When the Seraphis finally descended, they didn't meet with presidents or generals. They descended over Geneva, their vessel lowering like an angel's wing, and spoke to the world in front of the United Nations. A figure emerged, tall, slender, cloaked in shimmering cloth that bent the light as though reality itself disliked its presence. Its face wasn't human, yet wasn't monstrous either. A mask of smooth, luminous skin and deep-set eyes that reflected like glassy oceans. It introduced itself as Aurelian, a speaker of the Seraphis Union. Its words were clear, powerful, resonant. You are fragile. You are precious. You are young. The Seraphis Union has sworn to protect species like yours. You will never face annihilation. Not while we are here. The hall erupted into murmurs. Some cried in relief. Some narrowed their eyes in suspicion. But the alien went on. We have observed your wars, your cruelty, your resilience. You survive in storms that would break others. And now, the time has come to place you under our shield. Humanity shall be defended. Defended. The word echoed. Protected, shielded, guarded. What else could it mean? Most of the world wanted to celebrate. After all, wasn't this what humanity had dreamed of? Not just contact with the stars, but guardianship by a power greater than themselves. But some minds, skeptical and sharp, latched onto the same question. Defended from what? General Marcus Hale watched from the back of the hall, arms folded. His uniform bore no insignia of any one nation. He represented a coalition, a quiet unity forged the moment the ships appeared. While politicians wept at the promise, Hale stared hard at Aurelian, his jaw tight. He'd fought wars. He knew the weight of words. And he knew that promises of defense always carried the shadow of threat. Later, after the grand meeting concluded and Aurelian withdrew to its ship, a small delegation remained. Hand-picked generals, scientists, and diplomats. The question finally broke the silence. A woman from the European bloc asked it first, her voice trembling. Defended from who? Aurelian tilted its head, as though the question itself were strange. Then it smiled or performed some alien gesture that felt like smiling. From those who would harm you, of course. The words were soft. Too soft. The celebrations lasted weeks. Humanity cheered in the streets, waved at the sky, and for a moment forgot its divisions. The Seraphis ships orbited quietly, never interfering, never threatening. They transmitted gifts of knowledge, small ones. Medical breakthroughs, clean energy formulas, methods of improving crops. Yet Hale didn't celebrate. He gathered his analysts. Every shred of data about the Seraphis Union was picked apart. Where did they come from? How far did their territory stretch? What enemies did they face that required them to defend humanity? The answers never came. The Seraphis were masters of vagueness. They spoke in poetry. We have sailed beyond storms your kind cannot imagine. We have silenced the void where predators lurked. We have brought peace to 1,000 newborn sons. It all sounded magnificent and meaningless. One evening, Hale stood on the balcony of a secure compound in Geneva, staring at the sky. The Seraphis vessel loomed above like a second moon, its hull reflecting the setting sun. The alien himself approached, moving with silent grace. You doubt us, Aurelian said softly. Hale didn't flinch. I don't trust anyone who offers to fight my battles without telling me where the battlefield is. Aurelian's eyes reflected him like a mirror. Your species has not yet earned the truth. To know too much is to risk despair. Be content that we will shield you. Shield us from what? Hale snapped. The alien paused. A ripple of unease passed over its skin, faint but unmistakable. From the ones who always come. From the ones who devour. Then Aurelian stepped away, as though the words had slipped, as though it regretted speaking them aloud. Hale called an emergency meeting that night. Screens lit up with the faces of world leaders and scientists. They said devour, Hale growled. Not conquer, not invade. Devour. A murmur of alarm spread across the call. Dr. Keiko Ishida, lead astrophysicist, leaned forward. If the Seraphis Union exists, then so must their enemies. Predators, species that consume, perhaps literally. But why warn us? Why here? Why Earth? A diplomat from South America raised her voice. Because maybe Earth is next. Maybe whatever's hunting them is coming straight toward us. The debate spiraled. Some argued for trust. Others demanded preparation. But all agreed on one chilling point. The Seraphis hadn't told humanity the whole truth. A month later, the first sign came. Not to Earth, but to Mars. The colony at Valles Marineris reported strange signals. Low-frequency pulses that rattled equipment, scrambled drones, and sent colonists into vertigo. The Seraphis immediately moved a ship into orbit over Mars. Stay inside your habitats. Aurelian's voice echoed to the colonists. Do not attempt to investigate. This is not for you to face. But Hale had already dispatched a covert probe. The footage returned half-broken. Shadows moving across the Martian dust. Not machines, not men. Like ripples in the air, like distortions in glass, drifting with intent. And when the probe tried to lock focus, the image dissolved as though the creatures rejected being seen. The transmission cut out after 5 minutes. The last frame showed something vast, a silhouette etched against the Martian canyon. Something with too many limbs, too many mouths, and yet no clear shape at all. Hale stared at the frozen frame for hours. When he brought it before Aurelian, the alien only sighed. You were not meant to see this. Meant or not, Hale shot back. I saw it, and now I want answers. Aurelian was silent for a long moment. Then it spoke. They are the Harrow. They arrive where life blooms brightest. They consume not because they need, but because they are hunger given form. Your species is young. Alone you would not survive. That is why we are here. The room chilled. For the first time, humanity understood. The Seraphis had not come out of charity. They had come because Earth was in the Harrow's path. Panic spread when whispers of the truth leaked. News outlets reported half-stories, fragments of rumors. Unknown threat in Mars orbit. Aliens warn of cosmic predators. Riots broke out in some cities, prayers in others. But Hale stood firm. Humanity could not be shielded forever. Humanity had to know what it was facing. And so, during a global broadcast, he asked the question the Seraphis avoided. You promised to defend us. Fine. But from who? The world held its breath. And this time Aurelian answered. From the Harrow. And they are already here. The transmission cut before Aurelian could be pressed further. But the damage was done. Humanity now knew its protector's promise was not a gift. It was a countdown. That night, Hale stood again beneath the alien ship. The stars felt closer, sharper, hungrier. Defended, yes. But for how long? And what would happen the day the shield broke? The question answered. The truth had escaped. The Harrow are already here. Those 6 words, broadcast across every channel, spread like wildfire. Panic turned to fury. The streets of major cities filled with people demanding answers. Governments scrambled to maintain calm, while whispers of shadow things on Mars leaked into the public. The Seraphis Union tried to control the message. Aurelian appeared again before the UN, speaking in careful tones. Do not fear. We will protect you. Stay within your world. Stay within your boundaries. The Harrow cannot reach you while we stand guard. But trust had cracked. Humans had lived too long with the instinct to question, to pry at half-truths until the full wound was exposed. And now the wound was bleeding across the stars. General Marcus Hale didn't sleep the night after the broadcast. He sat in a war room beneath Geneva, walls alive with screens showing orbital trajectories, Mars transmissions, and grainy reconstructions of the probe footage. The Harrow's image still haunted him. Too many limbs, too many mouths, a thing that twisted light itself. It wasn't just a predator. It was hunger wearing flesh. And Aurelian's words burned in his mind. Stay within your boundaries. Like children behind a locked door, Hale muttered. That's not defense. That's containment. Dr. Ishida, sitting across from him, spoke softly. Perhaps that's the only way the Seraphists know how to protect. Cages. Hale shook his head. No cage lasts forever. The first strike came 2 weeks later. On Mars, the colony at Valles Marineris went dark. No signals, no distress call, just silence. The Seraphists claimed they had neutralized an incursion. They assured Earth that the Harrow had been repelled, that no humans were harmed. But Hale's intelligence networks told another story. A private mining crew on Phobos had recorded fragments of the battle. What they captured wasn't defense. It was slaughter. The Harrow had poured from the canyon like a living storm, tearing habitats apart with invisible claws. Colonists fled, screaming into comms, until their voices cut short. The Seraphis ships fired beams of searing white light, vaporizing entire swaths of the surface, colonists and monsters alike. The Seraphis had defended humanity, yes, by burning everything the Harrow touched. When the footage leaked, rage exploded. Humanity had not asked for guardians who decided life and death from above. Protests erupted in every major city. We are not children, not your wards. Tell us the truth. And Hale, always the soldier, never the politician, became their voice. He confronted Aurelian publicly, cameras broadcasting across Earth. You say you defend us, Hale growled. But all you've shown is extermination. If the Harrow come here, will you burn Earth too? Will you defend us by erasing us? Aurelian's luminous eyes darkened. You do not understand. The Harrow cannot be fought by your kind. They corrupt, they consume. Where they spread, they twist all into themselves. The only defense is annihilation. Then it's not defense, Hale snapped. It's pruning. The chamber erupted in voices, some fearful, some furious. But one truth became undeniable. Humanity could not rely on the Seraphis alone. Behind the scenes, Hale rallied a coalition of nations, scientists, and soldiers. Humanity had faced impossible odds before. Plagues, world wars, disasters that should have broken them. They survived because survival was wired into their bones. If the Harrow were coming, then humanity would not wait to be shielded like livestock behind a fence. They would fight. They called the program Aegis. Hidden shipyards lit up in orbit, old military projects revived, new technologies tested. Using fragments of Seraphis tech, snatched from gifts, dissected in secret, engineers built weapons designed not to repel, but to adapt. Railguns capable of firing at relativistic speeds. Drones swarms built to reconfigure mid-battle. Viral AIs that could rewrite themselves when encountering unknown code. Not a shield, a sword. Aurelian confronted Hale one final time in Geneva, standing beneath the shadow of the Seraphis vessel. You are reckless, the alien said, voice like silk stretched too thin. The Harrow are beyond you. We have seen them consume empires far greater. They will not be stopped by your machines. Hale stepped forward, unflinching. Maybe not, but humans don't build to win the first fight. We build to outlast, to bleed, adapt, and come back sharper. You think survival is shielding. We think survival is evolution. Aurelian studied him, unreadable. Finally, it whispered, Then when the Harrow come, you will die. Hale's jaw tightened. Maybe, but we'll make sure they choke on us first. The Harrow came to Earth 3 months later. It began with the stars. Telescopes picked up distortions on the edge of the system, shapes moving against gravity, bending light into spirals. Not ships, not fleets, more like wounds in reality itself drifting closer. Then signals, infrasound pulses that made oceans quake, that sent animals screaming in terror. Whole pods of whales beached themselves overnight. Birds fell from the sky mid-flight. When the Harrow reached Neptune's orbit, the Seriphus fleet moved to intercept. Earth watched the battle unfold through telescopes, through hacked Seriphus feeds, through shaky transmissions from probes. Beams of white light lashed out, cutting swathes of shadow to pieces. But for every Harrow destroyed, more emerged. The Seriphus fought like gods, calm, precise, devastating. But there were too many. Some slipped through. By the time the Seriphus realized, Harrow shapes were already descending past Jupiter, falling toward Earth. The first breach happened above the moon. A distortion ripped space open like torn fabric. Harrow poured through. Things like spiders made of glass and oil, wings that bent like knives, mouths that opened into nothing. The Seriphus moved to contain them, but Aegis was ready. From hidden silos on the far side of the moon, human weapons roared to life. Railguns fired slugs at a fraction of light speed, ripping Harrow apart before they touched the lunar surface. Drone swarms deployed, shifting patterns mid-fight, adapting faster than the Harrow could twist. And for the first time, Aurelian hesitated. Watching Earth's defenses rise, he whispered into the comms, "What have you done?" Hale, aboard the Coalition's command ship Vigilant Dawn, answered coldly, "We stopped waiting. The battle for Earth began." Harrow forms slipped into orbit, their bodies writhing like liquid shadow. Seriphus ships unleashed their beams, erasing swarms in blasts of light. But where they burned, humans struck differently. Adaptive rounds tracked movements that should have been impossible, learning mid-flight. Drones sacrificed themselves, recording death patterns, transmitting countermeasures to the swarm. Ships fought, fell, rebuilt. For every human vessel shattered, two more adjusted, stronger. For every soldier torn apart, their data was fed back into the fight. It wasn't clean. It wasn't graceful. But it was human. The Harrow tried to descend into the atmosphere. Over New York, one mass twisted into a storm of black wings. It devoured a Seriphus interceptor in seconds. But on the ground, humans fought back. EMP nets fried its sensory pulses. Jet squadrons baited it into missile traps. When it broke through, skyscrapers collapsed beneath its weight, only to reveal human units waiting with warheads buried under rubble. The creature fell in a fireball that lit the night sky. In the command center, Aurelian stared at the chaos with something humans had never seen on his kind's face before. "Fear. You don't understand," he whispered. "Every time you fight them, they learn you. They adapt to you." Hale bared his teeth. "Good. So do we." The battle raged for hours. Seriphus beams carved Harrow in half. Human weapons tore them apart molecule by molecule. And though the Seriphus fought with precision, humanity fought with fury. When dawn broke over Earth, the skies were scarred with burning wreckage. Dozens of human ships lost. Entire cities damaged. But the Harrow advance had stopped. They had not been erased. But for the first time they had been forced to retreat. The Seriphus had never seen that before. In the aftermath, Earth smoldered. Fires burned in craters. Families grieved. But amid the ash, humanity stood tall. At a summit days later, Aurelian faced Hale once more. The alien's luminous skin seemed dimmer. Its composure cracked. "You survived," it admitted. "No species has ever survived first contact with the Harrow." Hale's eyes were steel. "Because no other species is human." Aurelian bowed his head. "We thought you fragile. We thought you needed shielding. But perhaps you are not to be defended. Perhaps you are to be unleashed." The world changed that day. Humanity was no longer a ward under the Seriphus Union. They were something else, partners, equals, or perhaps a force to be feared. The Harrow would come again. Of that, no one doubted. But when they did, Earth would not cower. Because humanity had asked the question no other species dared. From who? And when they learned the answer, They did not hide behind shields. They sharpened their teeth.